In a war-torn modern-day United States, a small press team go on a dangerous mission heading to Washington, D.C. to interview the president before he is executed. Sound cool? I mean, that's typically the question that I pretend to ask you, right? Well, I'm going to stay neutral this time because I'm here to talk about Civil War from 2024. I don't really know how to start this, man. This is an intense one, guys. So I initially had no interest in seeing this. I mean, I love A24, as I've said before. I love Alex Garland. But I don't normally want to see, movies about like current events. I don't want low-hanging fruit. I don't want biased propaganda. So when I first saw the trailer for this film, I just said, I'm just going to sit this one out. But I'm happy to report that this movie didn't do any of those things, and I enjoyed it a lot. So, Civil War was directed by Alex Garland, like I said, and stars Kirsten Dunst, Wagner Moura, Cailee Spaeny, and Stephen McKinley Henderson. And here you have a famous veteran photographer, Lee, played by Kirsten Dunst, and Joel, a reporter, played by Wagner Moura. These two have seen a lot of action in their day, and they are grizzled veterans. But they are heading out on probably by far the most dangerous job they have ever faced. They want to be the last people to interview and photograph the president, likely being the last people he speaks to before he's executed by one of several rebel factions. So I've always loved post-apocalyptic movies, and you get that vibe here, only it's way more intense because this isn't fantasy. And the night before Joel and Lee head to D.C., they agree to take Sammy, another veteran reporter, and Jesse, a young aspiring war photographer, along with them. The country is pretty fucked up, as you can imagine. I mean, this isn't Mad Max. Nuclear fallout hasn't happened or anything like that. There's still power and running water in a lot of the parts of the country, but society is kind of in shambles, and people have pretty much taken things into their own hands as far as laws go and such. There's a scene where our main characters are attempting to buy gas at a rural gas station. They offer to pay cash, which pretty much gets them a laugh, until they offer to pay with Canadian currency, suggesting that the US dollar is near worthless at this point. The people at this gas station have two men that they have captured and tortured for they say, attempted looting. And as I hinted at in the beginning, there's a lot of ambiguity here, and I think that was necessary to make this work. However, I could see that turning a lot of people off, and after I finished this review, I actually went and watched some reviews of some bigger YouTube reviewers, and a lot of them seem to have kind of an issue with that said ambiguity. Again, I totally get it. I think, I don't know, Alex Garland probably had to decide, how many toes am I going to step on here? I think the way he went about it makes things work. But again, I can see why someone would have a problem with, the quote-unquote fence-sitting mentality here. And dude, I totally assumed this was going to be like a Democrats versus Republican film, which would clearly piss a lot of people off, especially, if the writers were clearly choosing a side. But this isn't that at all. The clear enemy here is the US government, which I didn't expect. I mean, it isn't even specified, as to what party the president belongs to here. The rebel factions have eliminated most of whatever military that decided to stay loyal to the US government. I mean, they are completely done negotiating, and the primary mission at this point is to literally execute the president. And they don't, completely specify what him or the US government has done, but it's a very, in my opinion, interesting concept. Again, I just think this was the right move to make. I mean, this country is already seeing an increasingly divided population. I've been paying attention, and I've been worried, man. We really don't need to add fuel to that by vilifying one side or the other, There's one scene where a small militia is executing civilians that are not originally from the US, and one of them is wearing, red sunglasses. And it's just the one guy, the others aren't wearing them, but I've never seen anyone wear glasses like that, so I'm definitely wondering if that, the red glasses kind of, signifies the Republican Party. I'm not really sure. If anyone has any thoughts on that, let me know what you think. I'd like to hear them. Now, as you can imagine, the majority of this film consists of, what types of people and situations our main characters will run into. One situation being snipers trying to kill each other for reasons that they don't even know. In another scene, they find a small town still looking just like it did before the war, with pretty much all of its citizens not wanting anything to do with it, not choosing sides. And what I appreciated most is that everything that happens in this movie is believable, and in my opinion, kept as realistic as possible. To me, Alex Garland is a master of his craft, and I don't praise many movies, for the sound design, but I think I need to mention that here. Like, there's a scene where someone is fatally shot point blank with a rifle, just one shot, and I had never heard a movie gunshot so loud. I mean, I felt like I was right there, and that added even more tension and weight to a very fucking horrific scene. And I believe that was by design. I also think that the acting here was just really strong across the board. Of the main characters, I was only familiar with Kirsten Dunst, actually, and I personally haven't seen her in a good while, so it was great to see her again, and she turns in a very strong performance. But really, I think all four of our main characters give equally great performances. They're fairly fleshed out, for the most part. Each one adds their own unique personalities, and I found myself completely scared for them. I was worried about them, and I was incredibly nervous for their safety. I mean, these are scenarios I have pictured before, and I'm sure I'm not alone on that. I mean, it breaks my fucking heart, imagining neighbors going to war with each other. It breaks my heart to imagine needless bloodshed. But it also terrifies me knowing what a lot of people are capable of when they know they can get away with something. Beyond the beginning, there isn't much of a police presence, so I imagine that, maybe a lot of them had joined militias or factions. Well, I had a lot to say, and I think that I've said enough. I liked this film a hell of a lot, and it might be, in my opinion, the best movie, at least I've seen so far this year. I'm going to give Civil War an 8.5 out of 10, and I could even justify a 9. It's very intense, with a third act that will just completely leave you on the edge of your seat. Cheers, guys. Take care of each other. Be nice to your neighbors. You might not see eye to eye on everything, but you see eye to eye on more than you think. Talk to you guys later.